Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. We have a special guest here today. He is a poet. He is a longtime wrestling fan. He, his name is Keith. Welcome, Keith. How are you today?
Good, good, good. How are you? You hear me good?
I'm good. I can hear you perfectly. Now it's funny, Keith. I found you, and it's funny. I usually don't go to my Instagram stories at all. I don't usually do Instagram. But something told me to go through my Instagram stories, and one of my friends posted your open mic about wrestling and wrestling. You know how you feel about people saying wrestling is fake, and you was talking to your girlfriend about it because she said how can you watch this stuff, and it brought me to tears, bro. Like the connection between wrestling and your father who passed away because of cancer. Once again, my condolence. You know,
Thank
it
you.
it really that was really touching. What made you get into doing poetry and stuff?
Well, I used to be a rapper a little bit back in the day. So
Okay.
writing was really a part of my life and my lifestyle. So but as I started rapping, I didn't like a lot of the beats I was getting. So I always found poetry very entertaining. We have a spot in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, and Virginia called Bus Boys and Poets, and they would have open mics. And once I seen that, I was like, okay, the audience really pays attention to the lyrics. They really are engaged in what the poet has to say with his story. So one day I gave it a shot, and I just ain't turned back since.
Wow, that's what's up. Now, I one thing I always when I talk to people on the podcast that is are wrestling fans, I always bring up the F word. It irritates me about how people get so they love to say wrestling is fake with
Hmm.
with the quickness. They how can you watch this? You're a grown man, but yet they watch these little movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's almost 80 years old, in these in the expendable movies.
Right,
And
exactly.
last time I checked, I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger is jumping off no helicopter.
Right. They can suspend their belief for that, but they can't do it for wrestling. I think they just probably was betrayed back in the day. They found out it was fake and they believed it was real, so they can't respect it for what it is because they're still holding on to what they thought it was.
Mm. See, you know what's funny? Growing up, my mom told me, when I was watching wrestling, she was like, look, they, it's storyline. They don't really, sometimes they don't really hate each other. The more
Mm.
I grew up, I learned sometimes they really do hate each other and they do not hold punches, but, it's choreographed. They don't, they're not really, back in the day in the Attitude Era, they're not really lesbians.
Right.
They're not really, it's a storyline. But
Mm.
she says, they do get hurt because you're trusting your body to somebody else, and one slip up, you can become paralyzed.
Yeah,
And look what happened.
exactly. The Darren
Look.
Drozdoff, right?
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even D'Lo Brown's fault. It was some
Yeah.
stupid fan who threw a water bottle on in the ring and he slipped.
Mm.
And it's like it just gets me mad. So now we got that out the way. Let's talk about some wrestling. Now,
Okay.
do you watch Dark Side of the Ring?
I watched a couple episodes. I've been meaning to sit down and just go all the way through. I probably only seen the Chris Benoit one and the Macho Man and the Miss Elizabeth one, but
Okay.
it's a good show. I gotta sit down and watch all the stuff that I'm not familiar with, like
Now,
Bruiser Brody.
now that was tough. That was tough.
Mm,
The Boozer Brody situation was, you know, he was killed by a wrestler,
mm,
and because where they were at in Puerto Rico, and they take their wrestling really serious.
right.
And unfortunately, Boozer Brody was a heel, and they kind of, some say they kind of looked the other way. They thought that he kind of deserved it. Some say they thought it was fake, and the cops weren't going to waste their time, and he's
Mm,
probably just it was fake blood. He's probably okay. It was it was sad to see that episode because the person that stabbed him
Mhm.
is living his life and doing birthday parties.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy.
And he never got he never got arrested. He never got filed on charges. Nothing. He literally got away with murder.
Wow.
It,
Wow.
it was I it was breathtaking to see that. Dark Side of the Ring definitely. I've been watching it every episode. They're now in season 2.
Right.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. The Owen Hart and the Chris Benoit, ironically, the first and last episode of season 1. It took me a
Mm.
while to watch it. I didn't want to watch it off the back. Cause I'm 35, so I was there doing the Benoit situation. I was there doing the Owen Hart situation.
Right, right.
Um, Benoit, you mentioned you saw the episode of Chris Benoit, and I'm not here to put judge on no man. I'm not God.
Mm.
I don't know what happened with him. I do understand his brain was of a 70-year-old Alzheimer's person,
Mm.
so that shows something that his brain wasn't all there. If you take away what he did on a personal level, I know I'm not giving him any respect because he did kill his son and he did kill his wife.
Right.
But as a wrestling, what he did for wrestling, and the stuff he pioneered, do you think he should be in the Hall of Fame? At least in I call it the real Hall of Fame because the WWE Hall of Fame is I don't like it. The
Right,
real
right.
the real National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Do you think he deserves to be in that?
I don't think so.
Really?
Um, I mean, he's done a lot for wrestling. He was an amazing wrestler. He broke barriers, winning the title and all of that. But you can't exclude parts of his story. Like when you bring up his wrestling, you have to bring up the tragedy at the same time. And I don't think that should be celebrated at all. Like I don't think he should be erased from wrestling history. Like we should
Okay.
still like watch matches and like have access to all that, but to actually celebrate him for that, to be in a Hall of Fame is I think it's a little bit more than wrestling. It's like the person that you are too. So
Ooh,
that
okay.
I think that just takes away from his legacy, honestly. But definitely, watch some matches though.
So you think that at least we should still be able to see his library, but not celebrate his life as a Hall of Famer? I respect that.
Yeah.
I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame
Mm,
because of his wrestling, but I would put an asterisk on it just because of due to what happened personally.
right.
But I feel like also if wrestling had health insurance and if Vince would have gave him those days off, he could have got help.
Yeah.
He could have went to the doctor. He could have went. If he found out he had early onset traumas, he could have either stopped wrestling or stopped doing the headbutt
Mm,
or maybe got medicine. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what they could have done to help that situation. But to keep having him do the same move over and over, and as you know, wrestling, they don't get days off really,
right.
and a lot of times these guys get nervous to get injured because if they on top, they're scared if they get hurt, they're not going to be able to come back to that same spot.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure with performing and looking at a high level. So
Yeah, like
there's
it's
yeah.
who do you what promotion do you watch now?
Um, I mostly watch AEW right
Okay.
now. I'll probably catch a replay of SmackDown and everything else I'll just read about because I'm reading that Raw is just terrible and I don't want to waste like 3 hours. So the
Yeah.
only thing that I watch consistently is AEW. I might dabble in New Japan just see what's going on there, catch a really good match, but AEW for the most part.
Now AEW, there's been a lot of backlash with AEW, and I don't understand why there's so much hatred for
Mm,
AEW. I'm proud of them. They are doing something that, as someone that grew up on WWF/E, wish that they would have done. Because I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm a fanboy and I can't watch any other wrestling. I watch everything.
right.
But to see my childhood into WWE being ruined
Hmm.
now hurts.
Yeah.
Because now I feel, now I see how WCW fans feel, because
Yeah.
they went through, WCW was perfect. Then Hogan got power, and then that went downhill, and then Bischoff kind of got lazy with it, and that went downhill, and then
Hmm.
next thing you know, you see Shane McMahon in Florida talking about, "Hey, Dad, I bought WCW," and then ever since then, it finished.
Yeah.
And now to see WWE doing the same thing that they said they would never do.
Yeah.
What if you was Vince McMahon? What would you do to help WWE get back to? I mean, I don't think you can ever get back to the Attitude Era, because I know everyone wants to be all TV PG and all that. But
Right.
what can you do to get this back to being at least somewhat watchable?
I think it has to be a little bit more based in reality. I think the reason why the Roman Reigns bloodline storyline is working so well because it's real. Like it's a real family. It's a real like the cousins in there, and they're really talking about the head of the table and leading everything. And it's like centered in reality and conflict. Like it will never be the attitude era because wrestlers aren't really big enough personalities to hold that by himself. Like The Rock was just out of this
Mm,
world. Stone Cold was out of this world.
yeah,
These characters were huge. But like as wrestling fans get older and as like kids and everybody has more access to the internet, we figure out how, I mean, for lack of a better term, how real everything is. So you got to kind of play into it. I kind
right.
of like how the Summer of Punk should have been, like when he kind of fake exposed the business, but put that veil of reality on it. Now you're not insulting our intelligence. Now it's like we don't believe Alexa Bliss has all these supernatural powers. You know what I mean? Like that's not cool to us. You can't give us that when we're watching, when we were watching NXT, and like Kyle O'Reilly and Kushida putting on really good technical matches. Like you have to, I think they have to really play to the reality of everything and not insult our intelligence. Make good grounded storylines because it still could be amazing, but like just be smart and believable about it because they have good writers over there. I just don't know why they don't write everything on the show.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's funny you mentioned about Alexis Bliss. I don't. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, I love him. I
Yeah.
love him so much. He is the epitome of, look, I do what you ask, and will make the best out of it. He went from, hey, welcome back, welcome back. We got Keith again. We got disconnected. Um,
Oh, yeah.
Husky, yeah. So I was saying about Bray Wyatt. He went from Husky Harris, from
Mhm.
a gimmick that was literally the most stupidest thing ever. But then he grew. He went into Bray Wyatt. He went into the Fiend.
Right, right.
And I just don't understand why they don't know how to book him. Like, I've been waiting for, and I don't know why they didn't play onto this, but I would have said Sister Abigail was Alexis Bliss, and use that. Like, you
Yeah.
can make it scary and make it more believable. People still watch horror films. You can make it. I know Vince wants to make it realistic. Do that, but make it smart. Don't do it like, Alexis Bliss comes to the ring in a tank and looks at everybody, and he just drops down and gets rolled up into a pin, and then losing like a minute to Randy Orton. Like,
Yeah.
what? That makes no sense. Like,
It makes no sense. And I was saying before, like with stuff being grounded in reality, the Fiend wasn't grounded in reality, but he was still cool. Like I don't know how
yeah,
they did it. Like we could suspend our our sense of belief to like a Bray Wyatt slash a Fiend because he had a big story. He was like he was shedding off all his old gimmicks and turning into something more and something better. But like they just didn't book him right outside of his own story. Like it's like they drop the ball when they're so close to getting it right, and then they just take Alexa Bliss and just do just random stuff that makes no sense. I don't get it.
I don't. I think they need to stop doing sports entertainment and go back to wrestling. This is not a movie; it's wrestling, and I think once Vince and WWE sees that, they can kind of go back to normal. I guess I don't know. I think with AEW being on fire, like I love AEW so much because it's like they have. I don't know if you watch Being the Elite on YouTube every Monday,
Oh yeah, of course.
but it's like okay, good. So it's like they make fun of themselves to the point where they tell you, look, we're buddies, we're friends. We don't hate. Like I like how they show like it's not real, but it's just I don't even know how to put it. It's just like they literally making fun of the smart marks, and I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. Like it's AEW man. I it reminds me of it's a reincarnation of WCW and
hmm
ECW, and I'm hoping that AEW stays on top. And
yeah,
because I don't, it's fun seeing now all these wrestling promotions getting better now. You know, MLW's Ring of Honor is getting better. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Impact is getting better. The only people that's not getting better is the multi-billionaire company WWE.
But that's the thing, because they're a billion-dollar company, they don't see the need to get better. Like in Vince's eyes for like years, because he's making so much money, he doesn't see the need to change. Like I'm not losing money. I'm not dropping deals. Saudi Arabia is still paying him to go out there. He didn't see a problem. Like it's hard for someone to change if they don't see a problem. So he's not.
Right.
But like the landscape of the business, like you said, with AEW and Ring of Honor, Impact, and MLW, because they're putting on these athletic matches and not insulting our intelligence, they're grabbing like fans and keeping them around. But at the same time, a million people still watch Raw and SmackDown every week, no matter
Oh,
how it is, and that confuses a businessman like Vince McMahon.
yeah. I don't understand why people can still watch. I don't get it. What is the appeal to it? Like I don't. I have some favorite wrestlers in WWE, but I can't that rating. I will not tune in. I will not.
Is
I
I think it's a sense of like people are familiar with it so much that they don't think or they don't look for something as an alternative. You know, like everyone knows who McDonald's is, and like they're good, but there's a lot of other restaurants that are good also. But we know McDonald's, so let's go to McDonald's.
that is yeah. Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I see you posted on your Instagram that you actually have wrestling belts. Are those the authentic ones, or the replica ones, or a mix of both?
It's a mix of both. I started with one of my friends. They gave me last year. They had this one made. The ECW television title, the
Woo!
RVD held for
Yes,
700 days, and it's the gold version. So it's like the first version they had before they actually switched it for like TV after a while. So that started my obsession. I always wanted belts. Then I got the TNA X Division title, the OG one with AJ Styles, Amazing Red, Low Key, Jerry Lynn had, and my last one was the Ring of Honor OG one, Low Key, Samoa Joe, Xavier, um, Austin Aries one. So
that's so.
I want to get belts that mean a lot to me. Like I'm not necessarily a belt collector, but like all those belts mean a lot to me. So RVD is one of my favorite wrestlers in ECW days. He was just athletic, and I was in love with his whole style. Ring of Honor, the early Ring of Honor got me back into wrestling after WCW fell over, and WWE had that monopoly over everything. And even the X Division in TNA introduced me to AJ Styles, which is my favorite wrestler of all time. So like all those belts mean something to me. But one belt in particular, there was a old company in Baltimore called Real Championship Wrestling (RCW). They
Mhm.
um, they put a promotion in Baltimore, and they had a video game tournament where they would have a SmackDown tournament, a bunch of people entered in, and they would announce the winner. So I actually won the tournament, and they made a belt. It's the ugliest belt of all time. They definitely took a random belt, they printed out their logo, and they put a sticker on it. But I actually won that belt in a wrestling competition. They awarded it me in the ring. I got to cut a promo. Like that was one of the best.
So,
That's my most prestigious belt out of all of them. It's the ugliest, but it's my most prestigious one because
oh,
I
that
won it in a wrestling tournament. It's amazing.
that's dope, bro. Oh
Yeah.
man, I only
Yeah.
have one belt. It's a replica that my bro got me for my birthday.
Uh,
Um, I I always wanted to get the ECW titles because I'm a big ECW fan. I just never I'm a video game head, so it's like all the money I will want to save for the belt wind up going to video games and video game systems. But I
Oh
really
yeah,
want one day I really want to get me a ECW, either if I could get all three, the ECW World Heavyweight, the ECW
mm,
Team, and the tag team, because I love ECW. That's
yeah,
my promotion. That was I that company was wild. It was crazy. It was, oh man, I
yeah,
love ECW.
yeah. It's Paul Heyman at his most genius. Maybe
Yeah,
not with the money, but as a product,
yeah.
ECW was absolutely amazing. It birthed
Money
a
was there.
lot of
There
stars.
was I was reading this unauthorized story of ECW, and the stuff I learned, it was
Mm,
sad, man. It was like they really was on top of the world, but Paul Heyman just fought. Like I get it, like I understand why he did it, but I kind of agree with Todd Gordon. So what happened was, Todd
mm,
Gordon was like, "Look, we really can't hang with WCW and WWE. Let's just keep it small. We're making money. Let's not, get over our heads." But Heyman didn't want it. He wanted to go against the big dogs, and I get it, but
mm,
they have the money, and the money hurt them bad at the end. I wonder if I could interview Heyman. I wonder if I would love to ask him, does he regret anything when it came to the money situation with ECW, or he probably wouldn't regret anything. I really wonder.
yeah, I wanted to because I think he had big hopes for a company because it's his baby, it's his company, but it's just how he went about it. I mean, you have to learn. Like you have to learn. Everybody, all bookers ain't really good businessmen. All businessmen ain't really good bookers. So it was a lesson learned. I'm sure he would have did something different with the money.
It's crazy. ECW last show, if I remember correctly, was in 2000.
Mm.
20 years later, or is it 21 years? No, 21 years later, I think. My math is bad. People still scan ECW. Like it's just
Yeah.
amazing how, not to say WCW is not remembered. That
Mm.
people remember WCW too, but just to think like this small, as everyone say, that grungy bingo hall garbage wrestling, as people call it, but it's still making money. Like to this day, like ECW will forever be. It's, oh man, I love
It's
that company.
it was more than just like the the atmosphere. It was with their connection with the fans. Like
Yeah.
it was close environment. They put on great matches. They had people literally go through the crowd for the first time. The
Yep.
fans were such involved, and I think that's why they chant ECW because whenever they get that feeling of like just camaraderie and like really good matches and it's really close and intimate, that's where that ECW chant comes in,
Yeah.
and that translates to indie shows like that. The fact that it's just so close to the action and it's really
Yeah.
good wrestling and it plays to the crowd so much, it gives you that feeling. That's why I think ROH blew up, CZW is blowing up because they captured that feel, not necessarily that name.
It's funny that you mentioned CZW. What is it about both Impact and CZW still alive to this day? Like, what is it? Like, what are they doing to make them alive, but ECW failed? Like, what? How did that happen?
I think it just might boil down to the money. They might be way better businessmen than ECW. Like, cause like they a lot of Impact shows might have been better than ECW shows. A lot of them might have been worse. Like CZW. I think also like they really invest in young talent too, especially CZW. A lot of really young talent was built there, and they shine over there, and they will book people that you won't really see like anywhere else. Like I don't remember like a necro butcher, you know what I mean,
Right.
being booked somewhere else. But like they just carved, they knew their identity and they carved it. Impact took a while to get their identity, but with Impact, I just think it had a whole bunch of money behind it, so they was able to survive.
I'm just happy that they survived Hogan, because it seems like Hogan loves to kill off companies. He
Oh
killed off
yeah,
WCW, almost killed off Impact, but they somehow survived it, man. I God
yeah.
bless them, because I was scared. I
I
was
don't know
scared
how they did it.
of Hogan,
For
and I
for
was like,
them to have
uh,
the bright idea to have a Monday Night War again, like that was the dumbest thing they could ever do. And that's Hogan's ego. Like
Yeah.
he just thinks like if whatever he touches is going to be gold, but it don't work like that. This ain't the '80s no more, sir.
No, and especially with all the stuff he's been going through, I don't think people even
Oh
give
yeah.
Hogan respect anymore. Like that, that situation hurt because I grew up with Hogan. I grew up eating my vitamins, staying my trying to rip my shirt, and then to grow up as a teenager and an adult to find out Hogan was a bastard.
Yeah.
Like he ruined, even before he said the N word about with to his daughter,
Mm,
he was a bastard. He literally ruined so many people's careers and held them down. And
yeah.
I was like, wow, like I was shocked. Like I was like, dang.
I always say that's Hogan's biggest heel turn. Like finding out who Terry is as a person
Yeah,
is his biggest heel turn. 'Cause it's just like, come on, man. We thought you were cool, and you're
yeah.
sabotaging. You're like throwing your weight around. And I'm hearing it like like I saw some doc like he was the one that lobbied to beat Yokozuna real
Mm-hmm.
fast. Like he just they give him too much control and it
Like
goes to
he
his
had
head.
no that SummerSlam pissed me off. He had no wait. Was it SummerSlam or WrestleMania? WrestleMania.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had he wasn't even in the match. It was between him and Bret Hart. Like I don't understand how. Like how do you in the backstage and was just sitting there like you know what Vince? I don't think Bret Hart did a good job in this match. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna win the title. Okay, Hogan, go ahead. Like wait a second. Like what? Like and then the messed up part is like you couldn't even beat Yokozuna clean. You had to use the cameraman to flash
Oh
him
yeah,
to get the leg drop. And I'm like, yo, I know Yokozuna probably was like, I don't know if I want. I know he's not here no more, but I would love. I don't know if he ever did a shoot interview, but
no,
I
I
would
think I think there was a documentary. Like I don't know where I saw it. I really wish I
really.
would remember. But there was a behind the scenes Yokozuna type of documentary. They documented that night, and Yokozuna he was like, yeah, I just played the part. I mean, he was a company man. He did whatever they wanted to do. I think he found out he was losing that weight that night.
Wow.
Like WWE and like well, just business and like business politics and suits are really really weird because they do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like I don't get it, man. Like Hogan
Yeah.
just ruined. Ah, he ruined a lot. I don't know if you knew this
Mm.
about ZZW, and I actually just found out when I was playing my I was mentioning I'm a big video game fan. I played my wrestling games,
Mm.
and one of my favorite wrestling games is Fire Pro.
Oh,
Returns
nice.
Fire Pro. Well, it started off with Fire Pro D, and I played
Uh-huh.
every single one of them afterwards. But I was doing Fire Pro Wrestling World on the
Mm.
PC, and I was redoing the rosters, and I was looking at John Silver and Alex Reynolds' bio.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
they used to work at the CZW.
I did not know that.
Did not know that either. I was shocked.
Wow.
I was like, wow, they were like that's a hardcore promotion.
Yeah, and that was the flexibility of CZW. They would have their hardcore matches for people that were still into it. But as it
Yeah.
grew, they was like, all right, we're gonna put on some super juniors. We're gonna put on some real wrestling matches. But then like they'll still bring out that spiderweb barbed wire when it calls for it.
It's funny. I found there was this video of this wrestler who was he does he was doing Michael Jackson in the ring, and then he hip slapped the wrestler, and then did like a split leg moonsault with two wrestlers in the corner. And I found out it was the Human Tornado, and I followed him on Twitter. And I was like, bro, I didn't know who you were, but I watched that clip so often. Like you made it fun, fake.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, no problem, man." He was like, "That was like he loved doing that."
The Human Tornado is a very, very, very underrated wrestler. I think he's retired right now, but like, but his whole gimmick of having balls of steel, like you can't low blow him and he'll just pimp slat you. He made everything fun back then. Like he was the first. memeable wrestler before Orange Cassidy. Really, like that's people they see a random thing online, like, oh, wrestling is kind of fun.
Yeah, man. Now you mentioned, his one of his moves was the balls of steel. You couldn't hit him low blow. Um,
Mm.
what do you think about Joey Ryan? Do you think his gimmick was his downfall during this whole Me Too movement? Um, or was it false accusation? Because I actually follow him on Twitter, and I actually
uh,
talked to him, and this might be a little bit controversial with what I'm about to say, but he never really went to trial.
mm.
He never paid anyone. So technically, would you consider him still not guilty? Because they never found him guilty? Like, why is he getting such a burn of the rap with everything that's going on if he technically never was found guilty or he never paid out? Because usually, if you pay someone, that kind of shows
Mm.
your guiltiness. You just didn't want it to be, you don't want to put it on your record. But he
Right.
neither. But why is he still getting such hatred? Like, what do you think about that?
I think it's a very delicate subject because without a trial, there's no legal reason for anybody to be guilty or innocent. So it falls back onto opinion. And a lot of people's opinion really doesn't matter what kind of evidence may happen. So it could be vastly on both ways. I know with these type of accusations, they are very serious and they should be looked into. But sometimes people stop looking into the truth once they, after a while. Like um a rapper Nelly. I don't know if you remember. There was a girl that was accused. A girl accused him of raping her on a tour bus. It blew up all over the place, and it was like, "Yo, Nelly's a bad person." But it later came out that she was lying. But it later came out very, very quietly. It wasn't as loud as the accusation on Nelly because people aren't really interested in the truth that much. They're interested in like the big story. The big story was Nelly. Now the big story is Joey Ryan. And, like we don't know what happened. Like I haven't followed it very too closely, so we don't really know what happened. But it lies in people's opinion of what happened, and that can go either way. So in some ways, you can say yes, he's canceled. Some ways you can say nah, he deserves a chance. But in a business way, that type of heat, people don't want that in their country. So that's the unfortunate part.
Now, do you think the internet killed wrestling? Because I feel like everyone jumps the gun and accuses people, and it's like you did this, you did this, you did this, and then sometimes they really did do it. Sometimes they really
Mm,
are assholes. But then
mm,
a lot of times they didn't do it, but because the internet is so big, and even when
mm.
they were found either not guilty or they found innocent, they can't come back because no, like you said, no one cares about the truth. They care about the accusation, and they build it up like it's no tomorrow, and you kind of ruin people's careers. Like, is the internet like bad for wrestling?
I think overall it's better for wrestling because at
Better.
the
Okay.
same yeah, it's better for wrestling because uh there's a lot of people in power, wrestlers in power that use that power for bad reasons and do bad things to people. And a lot of this was silent. Like all this was still going on before the internet. It's just now with the internet we gotta hold these people accountable.
Gotcha.
So I think it's a lot better for wrestling to weed these people out, but I think it needs to be a little bit better to find the truth rather than just, oh, what's the biggest story we can talk about? Oh, he didn't really do it. That's not a big story. Let's just not talk about that. So
Right.
it needs to be a little bit better. But I don't think it killed wrestling. It definitely killed kayfabe. Yeah, but
Okay.
everybody's just more accountable now. And they have to just be better people.
Now, do you think with the how do they say it? Since the wall has been broken, it seems between AEW, now everyone's working together, minus
Mm,
WWE. They seem like they're still thinking no,
right.
they're untouchable. They don't need no help. Um, do you think we're gonna get any like shocking surprises soon, or it's not gonna. There's really nothing. Nothing now could be shocking now since everyone's working together.
I think there's a lot more shocking things that could happen, like New Japan really coming to America and being
Okay.
on AEW, like Okada coming over, or
Woo!
Ibushi or Kenny Omega reuniting together or
That'd be
against
dope.
each other. Yeah, like there's still big dream crossovers to be had, but it's slowly building up, and I think AEW is smart, and this is a long term story. Like this is a very long term
Yeah.
story. They're not going to dump everything out altogether. They want to build it up, and I think with especially with their work with Impact, they're building Impact up as an entity in itself. So it's a bigger deal if somebody from New Japan even goes to Impact. So like this surprises to be happening. I'm mad that WWE doesn't really want to play with anyone, but I don't blame them. In their eyes, they don't need anybody. I
Right.
remember when they had ECW, they partnered with ECW back in the 90s.
God.
And
Yeah.
that was like, all right, that they helped ECW out, but in the end, they didn't really need to help ECW out. Like W is not in the generous mood anymore. They want to take over. And like work with other people is not taking over. They want to buy up all the talent.
It's funny you mentioned that. That book I read, I learned some stuff about that whole ECW WWE situation. Supposedly, Heyman, and this is just coming from the book, so anyone that's listening, I'm not saying this. Please don't sue me. I am just telling you what the book said. Uh, that Heyman was running out of money,
Mm-hmm.
so he made a deal with Vince that Vince will give him money and let ECW work with WWF behind closed doors.
Oh.
So if you notice, that's why ECW was so constantly on Monday Night Raw. That's
Mm.
why Jerry King Lawler came to interfere in ECW.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
didn't know this, but Sock on Saturday Night was basically a ECW show, but for WWE.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Okay.
So they were
It's making
working
sense.
together. They were working together for a while, and then the money got worse and worse, and then Heyman couldn't do it, and he left, went to go do Rollerball, the movie, and then
Mhm.
that next night he was on Monday Night Raw with doing commentary and leaving ECW by itself technically.
Wow.
Yeah, Heyman, he, I love him for ECW, but towards that end, man, I feel like he needed help, but he didn't. I think he's too. What's the word? Not modest. He's too.
I think maybe arrogant a little
Yes, he's
bit.
too arrogant, and he wouldn't ask for no one's help. Then
Yeah.
supposedly the rumor was, now this was a rumor I heard, Tommy Dreamer actually had a lot of money, but he refused to put his money to help ECW because he felt like Heyman owed him a lot from before, and he never really got back paid. In the book,
Wow.
they mentioned that Dreamer, St. Douglas, Francine,
Mm.
and I think Jerry Lynn to this day is still own money from Heyman.
Wow. To this day, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. That's why I hate being an adult because it's like I read this stuff and it's like,
Mm.
damn, I can't like my. It's like my childhood's ruined. Like I I mean I still love ECW. I would that's my number one company. I would never I watch that show. I watch it every day. I still got
Mm.
tapes. But dang, just learning what I learned from that book, it was like, dang, man, like
Yeah.
there were some scumbags there.
Yeah.
like like
They,
scumbags I didn't think like it's funny, the people you think were scumbags weren't, but then the
mm,
people that were so goody tissue were really the scumbags.
exactly. Now that's how like internet and like even the books like are killing kayfabe. You got to be like you can't hide in this business.
No, you
Eventually,
can't.
stuff is going to come out.
No, you can't. Um, what what do you think about? I know you don't really watch Raw,
Mm.
um, but you probably heard of this. What is it about WWE? getting people, and they have their names in NXT or
Mhm.
NXT UK, but then they come to Raw, they come to SmackDown, and they always have to change their names to the most stupidest things. Why? What is it? Like it's your promotion. NXT
Right,
is your promotion. NXT UK is your promotion. Keep the name. It's not like they came from Ring of Honor, and I don't get it, but I get it. If you don't want them to use their Ring of Honor name, if you don't want them to use their TNA name or their
right.
AEW name, I get it. Fine. WWE, change it up. But this is your company. NXT is your company, and the girl Piper, I forgot her last name.
Yeah, Piper Nevin. She's
Yeah,
like Dewdrop now.
they changed her name.
Yeah,
Like
I
what
think
the
it's. I think it might be. I don't know if it's an ego thing. I don't know if it's a business thing, but I think they want to build them up in their own image in the quote unquote main roster. I don't maybe it might be like a psychological thing to the wrestlers themselves. Like you were big over there, but like this is a new place and you got to start from the bottom, and we got to turn you into something else. But like it really makes no sense. Like you said, like for them to come out of ROH or the Indies, you want to change your name for business purposes. You want to like make them quote unquote pay their dues. I get it, but they're coming from a show that you own. Just carry that over. So make it a big deal. Make it a crossover
yeah
episode. I do not get it. It might be a business thing. They got to change their name because they're trying to trademark everything now.
yeah
So, but they already changed Piper Nevins. Like she was, I forgot her name before that, but that wasn't her name in the Indies. Like I really don't get it. It's super weird.
what do you think about the no complete clause 90 days? Do you think that's fair for wrestlers?
It's not fair for wrestlers. It's smart for the for WWE, of course, because they don't want to have another Lex Luger type of situation. They like Lex Luger leaves and then pops up on somewhere else the same night, even though Raw's tape. Like they're doing that just legit for the competition. They feel that all this work that we built you up to this name that you are, you're not going to carry that same momentum to our competition. You got to wait for all your hype to die down. It's whack for the wrestlers, but like I understand from a business aspect, but yes, essentially, I don't know if they pay them during that no compete clause, but it's like, yo, you
No,
it's
they
saying
don't.
like, oh, they don't pay them. Oh, that's
No,
whack. So it's like you can't work
can't
for
work,
three
and that's
months.
that's that's what gets these wrestlers mad because it's like, you're not even paying us to not do anything for 90 days.
Yeah, it's got to be some kind of severance future endeavor package they got to give them because that's terrible. You
What do
not
you
paid for 3 months.
about the treatment they did Mickey James? Sent her stuff in a garbage bag.
That's absolutely terrible. And like from what I hear, that's not uncommon. Like they did that to a couple of people. Like,
Yeah, they Mickey said, and then another wrestler that left WWE, she said that that's what they do. They literally send it in a plain black garbage bag with your name on it.
wow,
And I'm like, yo,
wow.
you're a multi-billionaire company, and you can't even put it in like, all right, if you want to put it in a garbage bag, okay, but at least put the garbage bag in a box or
Yeah, at least
something.
put it in a box. Like people
Like
get
you
fired
just
from
ship
their
it.
desk jobs, they get a box to put stuff
Yo,
in.
they just ship it out with the garbage bag. Like somebody go
Yeah,
through it. Like what is going on here?
that's wild. That's I don't know if they just trying to make a statement, but like it has to be something behind it. There's no reason for them not to put it in something more something with a little bit more care, like a legit trash bag, and you got fired. Like that's just wrong.
It is. Now, Braun Strowman, as you know, got released. And
Mm,
I didn't know this. So before when he did get released, I was telling one of my other friends that I did the podcast with, Brandon. I was like,
mm.
"Yo, Braun Strowman, that would be dope for AEW." And he was like, "Nah, I don't want that man in AEW." And I'm like, "Why? He's awesome in this." Then I did some research. He actually said a couple months ago that people, I forgot the direct quote, but it was something
Mm.
along the lines like, the people on the indie scenes are lazy, and if you
Yeah.
get released from a company, that's your fault, and you just gotta do better. Now, how the hands are turned, you just got cut from WWE. Do you think
Yeah.
he's gonna go somewhere else, or you think he's gonna retire from pro wrestling?
I think he wants to go somewhere else. Like for him to say that about independent wrestlers and how they work is just like he was in the biggest wrestling company arguably in the world. He was one of the top guys, and he had a long contract. He felt real comfortable. He never thought he would be in this position, and I think he started there. Like I don't think he ever did indie work,
Yeah,
but
no, he started there.
yeah, that's all he knows. So like, I mean, I don't blame him, but it's still whack for him to do that. But I don't think he's going to get booked. But he's too big of a name not to snatch up though. That's what I'm saying. Like you can think what you want about what he said, but these businesses see like a big name to just walking into their company, and I don't think they're going to pass that up. But it
Do
can go
you
either way.
do you think he will go? Do you think he would go because AEW is mostly of indie wrestlers?
Mm.
Do you see him in AEW, or do you see him in maybe going to Japan and working for one of the big Japanese promotions?
I see him going to AEW more than anything. I don't
Really?
see, yeah, I don't see him traveling to Japan and adopting that lifestyle because I don't think he's a good enough wrestler to be in Japan. Like unless he like
Okay.
really gets down, like unless he really like studies the business and like really gets good at it. For him to be in AEW somewhere comfortable with people he can work with, all these different talents that can kind of like not carry him in the match, but like have good matches. But like going over there, plus that language barrier, I don't know if he ever did a tour in Japan, so that's gonna be way difficult for him. But I would like to see him, but honestly, I think he's gonna stay in America and see what he can do here.
Okay. Now, I was hoping Samoa Joe would have went back to the indie scene because
Uh,
I would
yeah,
love him to be in Ring of Honor since Homicide's back,
yeah,
or go to
yeah,
AEW.
yeah.
Unfortunately, he chose to go back to the company that fired him, which that
Hmm.
didn't make any sense. But that's another story.
Yeah,
Um, who else that just got released would you want in AEW?
I want to see Buddy Murphy in AEW. I think
Really?
he, yeah, I think he put on really good matches on 205 Live that really didn't get the attention that deserved. And
Okay.
even like he's a really good wrestler, and he improved. Like back in Blake and Murphy in NXT, he was okay, but like once he got on 205 Live and like really putting on matches with Mustafa Ali and all that, he was really good. And for him to be in AEW with all that young talent, like even him and Kenny Omega just doing
Ooh,
like V triggers going back and forth would be amazing.
that'd be
Like
dope.
he needs to be somewhere that he can really wrestle. I think AEW is like the best place for him.
Okay.
Other people that got, I mean, Andrade's already in AEW. I forgot who else. The Iconics. I think they should be somewhere that they can really use their, let's say, comedic talents, but absolutely comedic talent. Like them in Impact with that women's division will be really good. They shouldn't have broke the Iconics up. They're really good together, but they should. I think they should be in Impact.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, yeah, I don't remember who else got cut, but like those two, other than Samoa Joe, I really wanted Samoa Joe
Me
in the
too, man.
Indies. Oh man, that would have been so dope. But he went with what he went with. You know, I can't fault him. He made a decision himself.
You know what? You're better than me. I'm gonna force because the company. Okay, this is where I get upset.
Mm,
The this is what I don't understand. Once again, last time I checked, NXT and WWE. No, NXT and WWE is the same thing, right?
right, right.
So if you are WWE, why don't you just say, "Look, Samoa Joe, we're gonna take you. You haven't been on TV. We're gonna go another way with the announcers. We got this new guy who, ironically, he quit a week later, but that's another story.
Yeah.
You're gonna sit here for a little bit. We're gonna figure something out, and then be like, okay, you know what? We're gonna put you back on NXT. Why fire the man just for him to go back to NXT? It's the same company. Like you could have just you already had him on the payroll. Just literally say, look, we're gonna just take a break. You know, you're
Mm,
not gonna be commentary. Just chill for a little bit. we're gonna figure something out. No, you got rid of him. Bam, you're fired. Then you know what I think happened? They
Mm,
probably thought that Samoa Joe wasn't marketable, and then they
mm,
saw AEW looking, Ring of Honor looking, and they're like,
yeah.
"Oh shoot, wait a second, we gotta do something," and then sign him. But like, I wouldn't go back to NXT. Like, you fired me. You literally just fired me.
Yeah.
How
I
do you
think
want me?
I think that's a disconnect back to what we was talking about of like how they change people's gimmicks and names once they get called up to the main roster. It's the
Right.
same company, but I really think there's two different places because Triple H and his team are running NXT. Vince McMahon and his team are running Raw and SmackDown. And like, because legend has it, once Samoa Joe got fired, Triple H really, really lobbied for him to be hired again under NXT as like a prerequisite almost. So it's almost like it's two different companies, but like they're the same.
That's crazy. Um, just to take a break with wrestling, you mentioned that you was in a video game tournament. You played SmackDown versus Raw, and you
Mm,
won.
yeah.
Do you still play video games now?
Oh yeah. All the time. All the time. I actually just beat Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's
Okay.
it's an amazing game. I'm a big Ratchet and Clank fan. I played every single one of them, and this one is really, really, really good. So yeah,
So
I just beat that.
that means, since you mentioned the new Ratchet and Clank, that means you got the new PS5.
I got really, really lucky on a GameStop drop a few months ago,
That's
and
up, man.
it was super lucky, super lucky. I was like, I need to get this before Ratchet comes out, and luckily I got it in like March,
Okay.
so it worked out.
I got the Series X. And I love next gen. Like next gen is, I can't wait to see all these games that's coming out because the games that's already out, I already saw. But it could, with the small time that these companies had,
Mm,
already saw momentum, and now with with the newer, like with the sports games and all the new games coming out, I know
mm.
next gen is going to be even crazier. How do you like the PS5? I'm hearing different, the non fanboys because they don't count. I'm talking.
Mm.
I only talk to the real gamers, and real gamers are a little bit upset with Sony because there's certain things they don't like. They don't like that you can't play off a hard drive or, and they don't like that for you to be able to put an SSD, you literally
Mm.
have to take apart your PS5.
I mean,
How do you feel? How do you like your PS5 so far? Do you have any issues with it, or you're loving it?
the only issue I had was the rest mode. Like for a while, if you put your PS5 in rest mode, it would corrupt. Not corrupt, but it would like something would happen with the external hard drive and they have to repair it and reboot it. It was
Oh
just like
wow.
a big hassle. But I probably got lucky with the update. I'm one of the ones that the rest mode actually works.
Okay.
I have no problem with it. Like I understand the SSD is really powerful and only PS5 games can run on it because it needs to boot these load times faster. And you can't do that with an external 3.0 hard drive. So like it makes sense. And even like back when the PS4 to replace the hard drive in the PS4, you had to take it apart. I mean, I was the one that just like lifted it and put another hard drive in it before they even did externals. So like that doesn't bother me at all. It's just like people are just they're so used to convenience they don't really just understand the necessity of like why things work the way they do. Only thing I really hate is the hard drive space is so small. 1 terabyte is not a lot of space for
No, it's
these new
not.
games.
Especially
And
with all these damn updates, especially if you play Call of Duty.
exactly, Call of Duty is
You-
almost 200 gigs.
You're not
Like
gonna,
I keep,
you're only gonna have one game on that hard drive.
exactly, and I know they did it to cut costs. You can't put 4 terabytes in a system and still sell it under $500. But it's just that's my only problem about it. But other than that, like the dual sense controller and how it rumbles and how you can feel rain falling, you can feel the train tracks when you're playing Miles Morales and you're going around the train. Like
That's
the 3D audio with the headphones, and I played
oh,
all of Ratchet with the headphones on it. Like you really hear what's behind you of like a level below you. Like it's
really?
really good. I think other than that, it's just the games. They don't have a lot of exclusives. I know like with the pandemic and everything, a lot of stuff is just not coming out now. But that's my only issue. Like I just have Ratchet and Miles Morales. I don't really like Demon Souls, so it's like and Returnal. Like those are my PS5 games. And
Got-
other than that, I just play the Series X because Game Pass is the best thing in gaming right now.
Oh, you got both systems.
Oh yeah, I'm really a gamer. Like like I'm really
Oh,
really a gamer.
you gotta add. I gotta get your gamer tag. Remember done, man.
Oh yeah, my name Chaos itself is my name everywhere. So like you can find me on that as well.
So your gamer tag is T Chaos itself.
Yep,
Oh,
it's
cool.
everywhere,
All right,
everywhere.
I'm definitely let me screenshot this now because I'm an old man. I ain't gonna remember all this stuff. Um, what games do you play on Xbox?
Since I've been spoiled with Game Pass, I'm just bouncing around with everything.
Okay,
I got really into Outriders because I need that looter shooter type of fix after I just got bored with Destiny. But
okay,
I'm playing Dirt 5. I like the rest. I like my rest. I like the racing games. Um, I actually recently got into. I started Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I don't know if you remember that. It came out
yeah, I
a
remember that.
while ago. And I was like, oh, they was like, oh, it's not better than the first one. I was like, all right, so I never avoided. I always avoided it, but I actually played it, and it's actually pretty fun. Like it's a really unique game to be free running on rooftops, and I'm enjoying that
Yo,
right now. So
you're,
I bounce around with everything.
yeah, you're definitely gonna fit in with my bros, man. My bro Steph, he plays Outriders like that's all he plays is Outriders.
Oh yeah, I need to get back because I heard they had an update where they doubled the drop of legendaries. So
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna be a
gotta
lot
get
more
back into
rewarding.
that too. I played my backlog is just crazy. I have so many games and don't finish none of them, but I just get it. Right now
That's me. That's me too.
right now I'm playing. I'm a big sports fan, so I'm playing my MLB The Show. Um,
Okay.
I got Dark Alliance, which is on Game Pass. I like RPGs. Uh,
Okay.
I've
Okay.
been playing that. I'm a big Yakuza fan, so I
Um.
got Like a Dragon.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, they just dropped that. Yeah.
I bought Watch Dogs a long time ago. Forgot I bought it, and gotta go back to that. Got my NBA 2K doing my franchise with the Bucks.
Nice.
That I'm
Nice.
proud of because I got to February, and one thing about me you will learn is I cannot pick a team to save my life when it comes to sports games. I will restart over and over and over, and like my bro Pat, he will contest to this. He'd be like, "Yo, pick a team and that's it. If you tell me one more time you restarted, we're gonna have a problem." So I'm happy I finally picked a team in baseball. I'm the Dodgers.
Nice.
Basketball, I'm the Bucks. I have hockey, but they didn't have a next gen game, so I really haven't. I gotta go back to hockey. It's crazy. Like I got so many games, and I know soon I'm gonna have to go back to work, and my fun of just sitting around playing video games is gonna end soon. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to play as much as I can every day, and then watch my Netflix movies. Cause I
Oh
know
yeah.
once I go back to work, they probably won't let me take no days off.
Yeah. The balanced time or the bin time, as like we like to say, is going to be a struggle, but like it's going to work out. It's going to work
Yeah. Since you live in the DC Maryland area, how has COVID been on where you at?
out. It's been. I mean, it's been kind of weird because, of course, like last year they really locked things down and like seriously locked things down.
Right.
But they're lifting restrictions right now. I think maybe as soon as like a couple of months ago they started having full capacity at restaurants and everything. But
Okay.
I think they've been handling it okay. It's just like the people don't really wasn't really adhering to the rules like they should have, as they
Right.
do everywhere. But it's going kind of smooth now though.
Now, as a poet, you're going out and performing in front of people. Do you get nervous because of COVID? And like, what do you have to do to protect yourself?
Well, with the poetry, they shut all poetry down. Like
Oh, that video
they
of you talking about wrestling, that's not a new one?
oh the poet no that happened actually this month in June. So
Oh,
that was the very first time a poetry event had that many people.
wow. Okay.
And so like before it was just strictly like through Instagram live or like they would have like outdoor kind of shows, but like this is the first that was the first actual big event in poetry. So before it was really tough because I don't like to do um poetry online through like my phone because I need the energy from the people.
Right,
But but now it's kind of safe. You know, people it's a lot better now. Like I said, with the restrictions lifting in June, it's a lot better now. But before, we will be outside. If we were inside, it would be spaced really far apart in certain tables, so you don't really get that packed feel of like a crowd. But
right.
it's opening up now.
I'm a diabetic and I am terrified of going outside. I have not gone outside at all.
Mm,
Uh, oh, except once I had to get a haircut for a job interview.
mhm.
Um, but besides that, I don't go outside at all. I, I take the garbage out. I go downstairs, check the mail. If I see people near me, I'd be like, I try to stay away. I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? It's not the disease that I'm scared of. I'm scared
Mhm.
of the people because not everyone takes it serious. Some people
Yeah.
fake. Some people don't care, and I'm like, I'm not gonna risk my life because you think it's a joke. You know,
Exactly.
and I don't know why people can't understand. Like, it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be. It should be. You know what? It's a disease is out there. Everyone follow the rules. Okay, we're lifting the restriction. Okay, let's slowly get back to normal. But people don't take it. Are not really following the rules, and then the people, like in New York City, one of the hardest hit areas.
Mhm.
They were saying how you gotta wear your mask, but if you got your vaccine, don't you don't have to wear your mask, and I respect that. I get it, but
Mhm.
there's people that haven't got the vaccine not wearing a mask. Like
Yeah.
I was in the elevator with this guy, and one of my neighbors was like, she said, "Where's your mask?" And he was like, "Oh, I got my vaccine." And then his boy was like, "No, you didn't." And he's like, "Oh, no, I didn't get it." And then she's like, "Well, why you don't got your mask on?" He's like, "Oh, well." And then white man he couldn't think of something. The elevator opened. He was the first to get off the elevator.
Yeah, people are really taking advantage of this no mask thing, and I just think they don't really respect it. It hasn't hit home to them close. Like I know people who had COVID that it was the worst experience of their entire lives. I know people who had family members die from it. Like until they really understand how real it is, they won't respect it. And those type of people that are so close minded and so just not insubordinate, but they just want to be rebellious for no reason. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like at least be at least be safe enough to take some precautions to be
Right.
safe. Like
Yeah.
why just willingly go into it? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not one of those people. I'll wear a mask until they say COVID is officially over.
Do you think it will ever be like over?
Um, I don't think it'll be complete. I think it will be more manageable.
Okay.
Like I think there'll
Like
still be a flu variant out there.
I
People will get
yeah,
sick.
like this get you. Yeah, I think so too. What I'm worried about now is this new Delta variant that's hitting down south. They're like really worried about that, and that's scary because it's like for
Mm.
everyone that got their vaccine already. Does that mean they gotta get uh like another vaccine to protect it, or is the vaccine that's out now able to protect this Delta variant? Like they haven't really talked about it.
Yeah, this is actually the first time hearing about it. I gotta do some research, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm afraid that like they're gonna be like, oh, we have to give you another vaccine, and
yeah.
then another vaccine, then
New
another vaccine.
Delta variant. Right now, it's really just in down south.
Mm.
It hasn't moved near us yet. At least it hasn't been reported. But it's been really big in, if I remember correctly, please don't hold me to it. Texas and I think Mississippi, but it's down there. It's I think it's ironically it's in the Republican states that they feel like this was all fake and stuff, and no
Wow.
no mask. So I found that kind of ironic that it's hitting. Once again, I'm not hoping anyone gets COVID. That I'm not saying that, but I just find it ironic that the states that it is getting this new Delta variant is the states that the Republicans are very gung ho on this COVID thing is not being legit and stuff.
Yeah, that's a little ironic, but yeah, I don't wish that on anybody. I've heard
Yeah,
some
nah.
horror stories how bad it
Hell
is,
yeah,
but
man. I don't, one of my favorite rappers died of it. Fred the
for the
Godson.
godson,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I
it's
was
it's
like,
real. It's real. It's real. Like people still won't believe that it's real.
and he's a big dude, and I'm big too. I'm like, oh shoot. I'm like, oh, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah,
Well,
and we
Keith,
just gotta be safe and be careful and like
yeah.
avoid take the precautions. That's the best. That's probably the only thing we can do.
Before I let you go, I know you're a busy man. What is your favorite food?
Hmm. I would say burgers. Like I really love pasta, but then I can't pick like one particular pasta. But like burgers, like that's it for me. Like I can do that like all day.
It's funny that you mentioned a burger. While we was doing this podcast, I just ordered some Dallas BBQs and got me a BBQ burger.
Oh, nice, nice.
Oh man. Keith, it was a wonderful experience talking to you. Thank you for taking the time and talking to me. I do appreciate it so much. Before
No
we
problem.
go, all my guests get to have a sign. You can say whatever you want on your sign. What would your sign be?
My sign would be faith without works is dead.
Woo!
Yeah.
Speak it. I'm clapping my I'm snapping my fingers right now. I don't know if you can hear, but that's some deep poem. Like, woo! All right
Thank you,
now.
thank you.
Guys, if you're in the DC area, please go check him out. Is there any specific location that you're usually at so you can